Welcome to the Conspiracy Podcast. I'm your host, Ben Carter. Hidden deep in the heart of the ancient California Redwoods, secreted away from prying eyes, lies a 700-acre sanctuary known only to the few, the Bohemian Grove. This secluded retreat, a veritable Shangri-La for the world's elite, is shrouded in mystery and legend. Its exclusivity and secrecy have been the fertile soil for countless conspiracy theories, with whispers of occult rituals, clandestine political meetings, and the manipulation of global events echoing from its forested depths. The Bohemian Grove has been a sacred retreat for America's most powerful men since its inception in 1872. The Bohemian Club, a private all-male club based in San Francisco, is the custodian of this secretive sanctuary. Each summer, the club organizes a 2-week encampment at the Grove, attended by the most influential figures in politics, business, art, and media. The roster of past guests reads like a who's who of American power and prestige, including every Republican president since Coolidge, titans of industry like the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds, and cultural luminaries such as Mark Twain. The attendees of these gatherings maintain that the Grove is nothing more than a place for relaxation, camaraderie, and harmless revelry. But to those on the outside looking in, the veil of secrecy has given rise to speculation and suspicion. Most notoriously, the Grove has been linked to the occult due to its symbolic rituals. The most well-known of these is the Cremation of Care ceremony, where members, dressed in robes, enact a mock sacrifice to an enormous owl-shaped effigy. This ritual, designed to symbolically eliminate worldly cares, has been characterized by some as a sinister pagan ritual. The Grove has also been the subject of political intrigue. Its attendees have included not just America's power brokers, but also international dignitaries and statesmen. This has led to allegations that the Grove serves as a clandestine meeting place for world leaders to shape global events away from the public eye. Indeed, it's said that the Manhattan Project, which led to the creation of the atomic bomb, was conceived within the Grove's hallowed grounds. Despite these controversies, the Bohemian Grove remains a closely guarded secret, a hidden world that continues to fascinate and confound. Its mysteries, woven through with threads of power, privilege, and secrecy, are as deeply entwined as the roots of the ancient redwoods that guard its secrets. The truth of the Grove, like the forest itself, remains elusive, obscured by the shifting shadows of fact and fiction. For those seeking to pierce the veil, the journey is as much a quest for understanding the nature of power and secrecy as it is an exploration of the Grove itself. The Bohemian Grove's history traces back to the late 19th century, when it was first established as a summer retreat for the Bohemian Club, a San Francisco-based private club. The club itself was born out of the city's vibrant cultural scene during the Gold Rush, a time when artists, writers, and musicians flocked to the city in search of prosperity. Its founding members included journalists, who initially sought a venue to foster camaraderie amongst themselves and their patrons. Over time, the club's membership grew to include some of the most influential figures in American society. Its allure lay in the opportunity it offered for informal interaction away from the pressures of public life. By the late 1800s, the Bohemian Club had morphed into a fraternity of the powerful, where the wealthy and influential could rub shoulders with the creative elite. The club's annual summer encampment at the Grove, initially a simple camping trip for members and their families, evolved over the decades into a more elaborate affair. It became a coveted event, with members relishing the opportunity to escape from the weight of their responsibilities and indulge in leisurely pursuits. The Grove's allure was undoubtedly enhanced by its natural setting. Nestled amidst ancient redwoods, the 700-acre property offered a space for reflection and relaxation, far removed from the hustle and bustle of urban life. But it was the Grove's rituals, steeped in symbolism and shrouded in secrecy, that truly set it apart. The Cremation of Care, the most well-known of these rituals, marked the beginning of the encampment. This theatrical production, in which members symbolically cast off their cares and concerns to an owl-shaped effigy, developed into a spectacle full of drama and pageantry. It encapsulated the Grove's ethos of escapism and freedom, evoking a world distanced from the ordinary and immersed in the extraordinary. However, over time, the Grove's reputation evolved from an idyllic retreat to a hub of power and influence. The arrival of political figures and business tycoons transformed the dynamic of the Grove, and members were no longer just artists and writers, but also included the likes of U.S. presidents and corporate magnates. It was within this shifting landscape that the Grove emerged as a subject of intrigue and speculation. The Grove's secrecy, combined with its high-profile membership, gave rise to theories of covert political machinations and clandestine decision-making. Critics pointed to the potential for informal policy discussions and secret agreements, far removed from the checks and balances of democratic governance. Allegations of the Grove serving as a shadowy nexus of power were further fueled by revelations like the Manhattan Project's conception within its confines. In this context, the Bohemian Grove's history is not just a tale of a summer retreat. It's a narrative of power and influence, secrecy and speculation, art and politics. It's a story that continues to captivate, even as it remains shrouded in mystery. Names like William Randolph Hearst, Richard Nixon, and Ronald Reagan are among the notable figures connected to the Bohemian Grove. Hearst, a newspaper magnate, was a prominent member. His influence in shaping public opinion through his media empire made him a crucial player within the Grove. Hearst's involvement and influence in the Grove underscored the intertwining of power and media, a theme that would resonate throughout the Grove's history. In 1942, the Manhattan Project, which led to the development of the first nuclear weapons, was conceived within the Bohemian Grove. Key figures in this pivotal event, such as J. Robert Oppenheimer, Ernest Lawrence, and Leslie Groves, were present at a meeting in a secluded camp within the Grove. This monumental decision, made far from public scrutiny, underscored the implications of the Grove's secrecy and lent credence to the belief that major policy decisions were being made at the Grove. Political figures, too, played a significant role in shaping the Grove's reputation. Richard Nixon and Ronald Reagan, both future U.S. presidents, were members of the Bohemian Grove. Their presence amplified the perception of the Grove as a powerhouse of political and social influence. Nixon reportedly used the Grove as a platform to secure support for his presidential nomination, demonstrating the penetrative reach of the Grove's influence. The Grove's rituals, too, have played a role in its intrigue. The Cremation of Care ceremony, with its symbolic casting off of worries, has been perceived by some as an occult ritual. This perception, coupled with the Grove's secrecy, has fueled speculation about the nature of the Grove's activities. An event that furthered the theories surrounding the Grove was the infiltration by Alex Jones, a conspiracy theorist and media figure, in 2000. Jones secretly filmed the Cremation of Care ritual, claiming it as evidence of occult practices. His footage, circulated widely on the internet, stoked public curiosity and skepticism about the Grove. While the Bohemian Grove maintains its secrecy, the speculations and theories persist. The convergence of influential figures, from media moguls to political leaders, and the secrecy surrounding its activities have shaped the narrative of the Bohemian Grove. From its inception as an artist's retreat to its evolution into a perceived nexus of power, the story of the Bohemian Grove is a testament to the allure of the unknown and the power of speculation. In the face of such intrigue, it's no surprise that Bohemian Grove has been the subject of numerous investigations, both by journalists and independent researchers. In the pursuit of truth, many have sought to peel back the layers of secrecy cloaking the Grove and its operations. The findings have been varied and at times contradictory, adding further complexity to the narrative. Peter Martin Phillips, a sociologist and professor at Sonoma State University, conducted one of the most comprehensive studies on the Bohemian Grove in the mid-1990s. Phillips was granted unprecedented access to the Grove and its members, an opportunity he used to demystify the club's activities. His research, published in his book, A Relative Advantage, Sociology of the San Francisco Bohemian Club, presents the Grove as a social network where the elite can convene away from public scrutiny. He asserts that the Grove's theatrical performances and rituals, such as the Cremation of Care, are merely recreational activities, a form of bonding for its members. Phillips argues that the true power of the Grove lies in its ability to create and foster connections between influential individuals, allowing them to form alliances and broker deals away from the public eye. On the other hand, investigative journalist John Ronson, in his book Them: Adventures with Extremists, portrays a different image of the Grove. He accompanied Alex Jones during his infiltration in 2000 and offers a more sinister perspective, giving credence to the theories of occult practices. Although Ronson doesn't fully subscribe to Jones's sensationalist claims, he suggests that there is more to the Grove's ceremonies than mere theatrics. Ronson's portrayal of the Grove aligns with the views of many conspiracy theorists who believe that the club's rituals conceal a deeper, more nefarious purpose. They allege that the Grove is a breeding ground for the New World Order, a secretive power elite allegedly seeking to control world events and establish global hegemony. In contrast, academics and historians generally view Bohemian Grove as an extension of American social clubs, albeit one with an unusually high concentration of power and influence. They point to the Grove's long history, dating back to the late 19th century, as evidence of its role as a social institution, albeit one shrouded in secrecy. The truth, as is often the case, may lie somewhere in between these contrasting narratives. It is undeniable that the Grove's secrecy, coupled with its congregation of influential figures, creates an environment ripe for speculation. The nature and extent of the power wielded within the Grove's confines, however, remain a subject of debate. One thing is certain: the allure of the Bohemian Grove, with its blend of secrecy, power, and ritual, continues to captivate public imagination. Several pieces of evidence have surfaced over the years, helping to shed light on the events taking place within the Bohemian Grove. One of the most significant is a 2000 video filmed by Alex Jones, noted conspiracy theorist and media personality. Employing covert tactics, Jones infiltrated the Grove and recorded the infamous Cremation of Care ceremony, a ritualistic performance involving the burning of a coffin at the foot of a 40-foot owl statue. This footage, widely circulated on the internet, lends credence to the claims of theatrical rituals taking place within the Grove. However, it also raises questions about Jones's credibility as a source, given his history of promoting unfounded conspiracy theories. Another valuable source of evidence is the work of G. William Domhoff, a sociologist who has extensively studied the American power elite. In his book, The Bohemian Grove and Other Retreats, Domhoff provides a detailed account of the Grove's history and activities, based on interviews, observation, and archival research. He confirms the existence of the Cremation of Care ritual, but interprets it as a form of catharsis for the club's members rather than a sinister occult ceremony. However, Domhoff's view has been criticized for being overly dismissive of the potential for influence peddling and policy planning within the Grove. A third piece of evidence comes from leaked documents purportedly from the Grove itself. These documents, if genuine, provide an inside look at the club's operations, including its membership list and event schedules. They seem to support the view of Bohemian Grove as a social club for the wealthy and influential, with activities ranging from lectures and musical performances to nature walks and theatrical productions. However, the authenticity of these documents has not been independently verified, which leaves room for skepticism. A fourth and visually compelling piece of evidence is a series of photographs taken by photojournalist Gabriel Moulin in the early 20th century. These images show members of the Bohemian Club participating in theatrical performances, reinforcing the notion of the Grove as a place for recreation and camaraderie among its members. The evidence at hand, diverse as it is, does not provide any definitive answers. Each piece, taken in isolation, can be interpreted in different ways, often reflecting the biases of the interpreter. The secrecy surrounding the Bohemian Grove, combined with the power and influence of its members, inevitably fuels speculation and conspiracy theories. Yet without more concrete, verifiable evidence, it is difficult to definitively prove or disprove these theories. The Bohemian Grove, for now, remains an enigma, its true nature known only to those within its hallowed grounds. Critics and skeptics have often challenged the prevailing narratives about Bohemian Grove, taking issue with the various interpretations of its purpose and practices. Some argue that the Grove is little more than a glorified summer camp for the rich and powerful, a place for them to unwind and engage in harmless, albeit eccentric, activities. These critics dismiss the idea of the Grove as a secret cabal orchestrating global affairs, calling it an unfounded conspiracy theory that lacks real evidence. One such skeptic is political scientist Robert D. Putnam, who in his book Bowling Alone: The Collapse and Revival of American Community makes a brief reference to Bohemian Grove. He describes it as a fraternity-like bonding ritual, a place for elites to network and socialize, but not a venue for policymaking or serious political discussion. Putnam's perspective is echoed by others who see the Grove as a venue for social networking rather than political maneuvering. Another critic, sociologist Patricia L. Sunderland, argues that the rituals and performances at Bohemian Grove, while seemingly bizarre to outsiders, are not inherently different from those found in other exclusive clubs. In her view, they simply reflect a form of elite culture that values spectacle and theatricality. She suggests that the secrecy surrounding the Grove says more about our society's fascination with wealth and power than about the club's actual activities. However, these critics are not without their own detractors. Some researchers accuse them of being overly dismissive and naive, arguing that they underestimate the potential for informal influence and policy planning within the Grove. David G. Bromley, a sociologist known for his work on new religious movements, has criticized these views, arguing that they overlook the power dynamics and ideological alignments that can occur in elite social networks. Efforts to debunk the more conspiratorial claims about Bohemian Grove have also been met with resistance. For instance, a detailed investigation by the Annenberg Public Policy Center concluded that there was no evidence to support the claim that the Grove is a site of satanic rituals or human sacrifice. This report was met with skepticism by some, who argued that the secretive nature of the club makes it impossible to definitively disprove such claims. The debate over Bohemian Grove exemplifies the difficulty of studying secretive organizations. Without access to direct evidence, researchers are left to interpret indirect clues and rely on second-hand accounts. As a result, the Grove remains a subject of controversy, its true nature obscured by a veil of secrecy, uncertainty, and speculation. It serves as a reminder that power and influence often operate behind closed doors, in realms inaccessible to the public eye. The impact of Bohemian Grove extends far beyond the forested confines of its Monte Rio location. It serves as a cultural touchstone, a symbol of the enigmatic nature of power and the often inaccessible world of the elite. This cultural resonance is perhaps best exemplified in its depictions in popular media, serving as a backdrop in films, literature, and even video games. The Grove has been immortalized in works such as Brad Meltzer's thriller novel The Book of Fate, where it is portrayed as a sinister hub of political intrigue. Similarly, it features prominently in video games like Deus Ex, where it's painted as a meeting place for shadowy figures orchestrating global events. These portrayals, often rooted in the more conspiratorial interpretations of the Grove, reflect societal anxieties about the concentration of power and the perceived opacity of elite institutions. Yet the cultural significance of Bohemian Grove isn't limited to its fictional representations. It has also become a focal point for activists and social critics. The Grove's annual gathering has drawn protests from a myriad of groups, ranging from anti-globalization activists to environmentalists, all of whom see the Grove as a symbol of unchecked power and privilege. These protests, often marked by theatricality and spectacle, mirror the rituals and performances that take place inside the Grove. They serve as a form of counter-ritual, a way of publicly challenging and critiquing the power dynamics that the Grove is perceived to embody. In this sense, the Grove has become a stage upon which broader societal debates about power, privilege, and inequality are played out. The Grove's cultural impact also speaks to our society's enduring fascination with the secretive and the hidden. The allure of Bohemian Grove lies not only in its exclusivity, but also in the mystery that shrouds its activities. This fascination reflects a broader cultural trend: the allure of secret societies, hidden histories, and concealed truths. In this regard, Bohemian Grove serves as a mirror to society, reflecting back our shared anxieties and fascinations. It encapsulates the tension between our democratic ideals and the often undemocratic realities of power. It embodies our collective fears about the influence of the elite and the opacity of decision-making processes, and it captures our enduring fascination with the secretive, the exclusive, and the hidden. In its own unique way, Bohemian Grove has become a part of our cultural fabric, a symbol of the power dynamics that underpin our society. Whether viewed as a harmless retreat or a hub of global conspiracy, its influence reaches far beyond the redwood trees of Monte Rio, casting a long shadow over our collective imagination. The impact of Bohemian Grove is not confined to the realms of literature and social critique. It extends into the media, shaping narratives and influencing perceptions. The Grove's secrecy has made it a prime target for speculation, rumor, and intrigue, all of which have been amplified by the media's coverage. Some of the first media reports about the Grove emerged in the early 20th century, focusing on its wealthy and influential membership. Newspapers relayed tales of powerful men escaping to the wilderness, mingling and merrymaking away from the public eye. These stories, often tinged with a sense of awe and mystique, helped to cultivate the Grove's image as an exclusive enclave of power. The advent of the television age brought Bohemian Grove further into the spotlight. Television documentaries delved into the Grove's history and rituals, offering tantalizing glimpses of its secretive activities. These explorations, while sometimes sensationalized, contributed to a growing public awareness and curiosity about the Grove. The rise of digital media and the Internet has further intensified the media's focus on Bohemian Grove. Online platforms have become a breeding ground for conspiracy theories about the Grove, with countless websites, blogs, and forums dedicated to deciphering its secrets. The proliferation of these theories, fueled by the anonymity and echo chamber dynamics of the Internet, has further inflamed public fascination with the Grove. Media coverage of the protests against the Grove has also played a role in shaping narratives about it. The spectacle of demonstrators, armed with signs and slogans, confronting the Grove's guarded entrance has become a recurrent image in media reports. These images, juxtaposing the protesters' fervor with the Grove's aloofness, underscore the perceived power imbalance symbolized by the Grove. Despite the extensive media attention, the Grove's activities remain largely shrouded in secrecy. This secrecy, coupled with the media's tendency to sensationalize, has resulted in a somewhat distorted public image of the Grove. While some see it as just a retreat for the rich and powerful, others view it as a sinister cabal wielding undue influence over global affairs. The media's portrayal of Bohemian Grove, in turn, reflects larger societal anxieties about the concentration of power, the secrecy of elite institutions, and the influence of the wealthy. It underscores the tension between our democratic ideals and the realities of power distribution. The Grove, with its cloak and dagger image, serves as a potent symbol of these anxieties, a representation of the hidden corridors of power that lie beyond the public's reach. Through its portrayal in the media, Bohemian Grove has transcended its physical confines, becoming a fixture in our collective consciousness. Its enigmatic image, shaped by decades of media narratives, continues to provoke intrigue, speculation, and debate. Whether it is a harmless retreat, a hub of global conspiracy, or something in between, the Grove's influence on our cultural landscape is undeniable. Its story, much like the redwoods that surround it, stands tall in our collective imagination, casting a long and intriguing shadow. In the shadowy corners of the Bohemian Grove narrative, where fact blurs into fiction and the plausible spirals into the improbable, a rich tapestry of fringe theories takes root. These speculative takes, often dismissed by the mainstream, nonetheless offer fascinating insights into the human propensity for storytelling and our collective fascination with the unknown. One such theory posits that the Grove is a meeting ground for extraterrestrial entities. Proponents of this theory cite alleged sightings of unidentified flying objects in the vicinity of the grove, as well as the high-profile attendees' potential knowledge of classified information about extraterrestrial life. The grove, in this interpretation, becomes a nexus of interstellar diplomacy, a clandestine United Nations of sorts for beings from across the cosmos. Another speculative theory links the grove to occult practices, with some alleging that its members participate in arcane rituals under the cover of darkness. These claims are often rooted in the grove's theatrical tradition, particularly its annual Cremation of Care ceremony, which critics interpret as a sinister rite. The grove's owl logo and the massive owl statue in the premises, both symbols associated with wisdom in many cultures, are alternatively construed as symbols of occultism. The grove is also said to be an epicenter of secret scientific experiments. Advocates of this theory argue that the grove's secluded location and its roster of influential attendees provide the perfect conditions for covert research activities. Some even suggest that the Manhattan Project, responsible for the development of the atomic bomb during World War II, was conceived within the grove's confines. The most pervasive theory, however, involves global political conspiracies. The grove is perceived as an opaque seat of power where clandestine decisions are made that shape the course of world events. The Bilderberg Group, another secretive gathering of elites, is often cited in these theories as a parallel entity. The grove in this context is seen as part of a matrix of shadowy institutions that wield covert influence on global politics. While these theories lack concrete evidence and are often dismissed as unfounded conjecture, they nonetheless underscore the enduring allure of Bohemian Grove. Its veil of secrecy, its powerful attendees, and its exclusive nature create an environment ripe for speculation and fantasy. The grove, whether by design or accident, has become a canvas onto which our fears, curiosities, and suspicions are projected, evolving into a potent symbol of the unknown and the unseen. As with any myth, the truth may be less sensational than the fiction, but the fiction, in its own right, reveals much about our collective psyche and our shared desire to expose hidden truths. The enigma of Bohemian Grove, as we've examined, is multifaceted. It's a place of leisure, a hub of power, a stage for theatrical performances, a sanctuary for the elite, and, in the eyes of some, a locus of covert machinations. Its unique blend of secrecy, tradition, and influence has made it a magnet for speculation and intrigue, a phenomenon that appears to be as much a part of the grove's identity as its redwoods and its river. The grove is a mirror of the times, reflecting the societal trends and attitudes of the moment. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, it was seen as a retreat, a place where men of prominence could escape the pressures of their public lives. As the 20th century progressed and the public became more aware of the power dynamics at play in society, the grove began to be viewed with suspicion, its secrecy seen less as a benign privacy measure and more as a tool for shielding the powerful from scrutiny. In the age of the Internet, the grove's allure has only grown. The proliferation of conspiracy theories in the digital era has made the grove a frequent subject of online speculation, its secrecy and exclusivity making it fertile ground for wild theories and baseless claims. Yet the grove persists, its secrecy intact, its allure undiminished. The story of Bohemian Grove is a testament to the enduring fascination with power and secrecy. It speaks to the human tendency to be intrigued by the unknown, to be drawn to the concealed, and to be curious about the powerful. The grove, with its mix of leisure and power, secrecy and spectacle, tradition and modernity, is a microcosm of these human tendencies. The enigmatic allure of Bohemian Grove is unlikely to fade anytime soon. As long as there are secrets to be hidden, power to be wielded, and myths to be spun, the grove will continue to captivate and intrigue, its redwoods standing silent guard over a world that remains tantalizingly out of reach. And perhaps that is the grove's ultimate power, the ability to encapsulate the dualities of human nature, our pursuit of leisure and power, our curiosity and fear of the unknown, our fascination with the seen and the unseen. Bohemian Grove, in its own elusive way, captures the essence of these dualities, making it not just a retreat for the elite, but a symbol of our collective fascination with the world beyond our reach. Thanks for listening. This has been another episode of the Conspiracy Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you'd like to support the show, subscribe to the Conspiracy Podcast on Patreon. Subscribe now.